Good afternoon. Are you guys feeling hungry yet? So maybe my challenge has become, let's see how we can use intelligent machines to help you overcome your hunger for lunch. So really, I believe intelligent machines would mark the next technology revolution. It really can help us to make our lives better. So what I would do in this short period of time, explain what do I mean by intelligent machines, and also how we can utilize it and embrace the opportunity. So if you look through the history, right, we have gone through many technology advancement, and then with every one of these advancement, associated with it a bunch of innovations. And all those help us to increase our productivity, and then we embrace it, turn it into the ways to improve our lives, right? If you look at from the very early days of the steam engine, and then associated with the whole suite of factory improvement and changes, right? Then to, of course, the car. And if you fast forward to, let's say, the internet, right? With the internet, then we have the abundance of the availability of information that, again, improve people's productivity. Then you have the e-commerce and so on and so forth. Then let's fast forward, right, to, let's say, today. We're talking about big data. We have smart house, smartphones, and then, of course, we have Internet of Things. And, of course, we'll talk about AI, that is artificial intelligence once more. Now, every one of us, of course, if we do the right thing, we embrace it, we turn it into the productivity increase and improve our lives. But it doesn't mean it always happens in a smooth fashion, right? If you recall, if you look at the time when the car was introduced, right, actually in UK, the notion of a red flag law was introduced. And it means when you drive a car behind a carriage, if someone raises up that red flag, you cannot pass it. You just have to follow. Now, of course, luckily, I think that law was abandoned. Imagine if it hadn't, and what it means to us today. So we really want to look at, from the big data, maybe we're looking at the bigger data and a lot of smart things. That's what is going to bring us to this notion of intelligent machines. Now, when we talk about, we start with artificial intelligence, right? As you may recall, typically people would think about the Turing test. Now, the artificial intelligence, in its classic definition, it's very narrow. It makes reference to human thinking, human logic. And that's why, the Turing test. However, by the time comes, let's say, fast forward to 2016, right? As indicated by this article in the Nature, when AlphaGo really actually beat humans in playing the game Go, that really gets us thinking because it's shocking. We get confused. The question gets raised, would the machine actually overtake and control us? So that is where the machine intelligence, the notion, gets introduced, as opposed to artificial intelligence. And of course, if you look at machine intelligence, it's actually what's behind it. If you can think of, it simply can learn logic, a lot of categories of very complex logic and strategies, and it can learn it very efficiently. And that is what enabled AlphaGo to actually beat human. Now, this indeed raises the issue, machine intelligence, is it sufficient or is it enough? Now, if you ask yourself, right, if you can build this smart machine that can beat you at every game, imagine how fun that would be. I don't know how many of you would be willing to have that, right? Compared to the notion we're going to talk about, that is intelligent machines. There is a difference, right? Intelligent machine, then we can look forward to. We would rather this machine be able to understand what we need, be able to be very obedient, and actually, when you think about something, if it actually can predict and help you to make it happen. So this picture by itself may not, depicting it in the most sexy way, but it's really about for you to be able to feel and experience, as opposed to just looking at a game playing scenario. So of course, if you look at intelligent machines, and the biggest difference between the notion of intelligent machines and machine intelligence, of course, it's you have a physical platform or physical infrastructure to have the intelligence on top. So what do we mean by, if you just think about how today we have the big bulldozers and all kinds of machines, how powerful they are in terms of physical power, and how it actually can deliver the things in a consistent fashion. This is where the machine notion has to be embraced and then combined with the intelligence we talked about. So that's the fundamental notion. Of course, on the top of the physical infrastructure, it's really the intelligence part. And this is where if you look behind to say, okay, what is enabling this machine intelligence or making the intelligent machines much more powerful and can predict and think about the things on our behalf, it's really machine learning. So if you compare the intelligent machines to actually machine intelligence, then on top of this capability to learn about very complex tests, right, and also learn them in a very efficient, short period of time, then on top of it, you need to combine it with the power of the machine to actually help us to do things. So it's no longer about just playing the games at that level. Rather, again, it's you can experience and feel, and it should actually seamlessly integrate with what you do every day in your life. So that's where we want to go. Now, if you look at, of course, the intelligence part, the key things, there are many of learning disciplines, right, algorithms. Of course, from the early days, we tried a lot in the early 80s, rule-based artificial intelligence, maybe just helping us to figure out, when you pack your grocery, should you put the egg on top of, a big heavy block of ice or the other way around? Now that is too simple, right? It didn't go anywhere. But today, if you fast forward to today, if you look at how AlphaGo is doing, and then a lot of complex situations, then it's about deep learning. It's about reinforcement learning, all those disciplines. So we indeed can embrace this technology and turn it into something productive. So now let's share a little bit about how at Didi Chuxing we actually leverage the machine learning, big data, and cloud computing power to actually make it into something useful. So we can understand this notion of intelligent machines better, right? Didi Chuxing, as Hansen mentioned earlier, 20 million rides every day, and that is twice of all the volume of the rides by all the other platforms combined over the world. And of course, we are helping providing rides for 400 million people and by about 17.5 million drivers. Now, this is all delivered through a single application, mobile application. Now, the way we have it, we have a line of services. So this service really is addressing the diverse needs of different people, right, from taxi all the way to minibus. And the bus is where we are going to seamlessly integrate into the public transportation system. So, of course, this depiction is really showing you just a intercity H ride volume. Now, if we put everything in there, it would be too much. But the key is a lot of data on this platform allow us to learn, apply machine learning to predict the traffic jam, predict people's transportation needs, and also to predict tidal changes of a traffic pattern. So we can actually use a single lane to use it in a dedicated unidirection traffic based on it's in the morning or it's in the afternoon. So that is what we are able to do today. Now, we can do much better, right? So this is where some of the new applications we are looking at. One of the things what we did was enable us to apply the machine learning to optimize traffic lights control. So we have one example in Jinan City, only across 6 traffic lights, right? Based on the data, we predict how the traffic volume is going, and we dynamically change the traffic lights across the 6 lights in a synchronized fashion. By doing that, in a month, we are able to observe 10% reduction in the basically peak time, waiting time through the 6 traffic lights. Another area we are looking at, again, applying the intelligent machine technology is in augmented reality applied to helping people to make the driving experience better. So this is where the technology would help us, help the drivers to see and hear conditions that may impact or may represent some danger on the road, otherwise they would not have seen. So again, through the augmented reality technology, we can convey this information to the driver in an easily understandable fashion, so to improve the driving experience and the safety. So now, we just mentioned the Didi Labs in Mountain View. We actually have a bunch of very young and dedicated people. Today, the main activity we have in Mountain View are in 3 main areas. The first one being the intelligent vehicles and the system security. The second one is in general regarding to the information security and tools, how to make the data safer, for example. And then the third area is in general regarding to AI and AR application. Again, how to make a more intelligent transportation system. Of course, you can see most of the people are very young, except some old geezers in the middle there. So indeed, we believe we can transform the transportation system. There are 3 key elements that are revolutionizing this transportation. One, of course, is the electric vehicle. The second is the notion of the shared economy. And then the third one is automation. Again, it ties to the intelligent machine notion. So of course, as I mentioned earlier, on this bump, to embrace the technology, to leverage it to make our lives better, it's not always a smooth sailing. So that is where we do have challenges. I know at this conference, we have many engineers, entrepreneurs, and investors. I definitely would call upon you to activate your innovation gene and to embrace your entrepreneurial spirit. Because by working together, we can develop the technology, we can proactively turn it into a very productive force and power to actually make our life better, right? If you talk about transportation, we can improve the transportation, reduce the pollution, and reduce the congestion. So that is all good for us. Thank you so much.